as some of you may have known from reading ahead of time, is I'm excited to have her because she's the owner director of One Big Yes Productions and 40 Women Over 40, which is a dance company based in Boulder, Colorado. Nancy's a dancer, a choreographer, and an award-winning actress and playwright. She's served on the faculties of the Denver Center of the Performing Arts, University of Colorado Boulder, Colorado State University, University of Washington, and Cornish College for the Arts. Nancy lives and thrives in Boulder, Colorado, where she is daily inspiring dancers to experience total acceptance of themselves through communal identity. So welcome, Nancy. We're lucky to have you today joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And Nancy and I have talked a bit about her work and how the act of being a dance teacher and a dancer creates some resiliency. So there's one experience of being in the room with the dancers. And Nancy, you could tell us a little bit about the 40 Women Over 40 troupe that you work with, and how that translates to the world and taking that out into the world.
Yes, thanks. I would love to talk about that. I realized this morning when I was getting excited about this symposium that 40 Women Over 40, I started that so long ago, and then I realized how old I was by going back, because it was almost 25 years ago that I started that company when I was when I turned 40. So how that came to be about was that I was in dancing with the company. It's called Interweave Dance Theater. And I came up in that company. I've been teaching and working with them for years, and I adore and love them. That's an amazing community. But I was dancing with them, and I was getting older, and I looked around and noticed that, oh my gosh, I don't think I belong here anymore in this dancing with these amazing younger dancers. I would say, kicking their leg up over their head, and this is a real thing, with dancers. And then, I used to be able to jump up and go into like a James Brown split kind of thing and then get back up again, which I thought was the coolest thing I could do until I wrecked my knee doing that one time and was limping off the stage. But I still finished the performance. That's important to say. But the reason why I started it is I looked around and saw all these dancers 40 and over that were amazing still, but were kind of depressed that they didn't feel they didn't not feel welcome. They just felt like they didn't really belong with these younger dancers. And so I did a show that was actually on this workshop with Interweave Dance Theater, where we did Brick House. And it was all these dancers over 40, and they just rocked the house. And why I was so inspired to actually create a company out of these, it was about 16 dancers at that point, was in the audience where they were expecting all these younger dancers who dance amazingly. They stood up in the middle of the show and were stomping their feet and clapping. I've never experienced that before in my life, all my years performing and dancing. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like it happens to me about once every literally 20 or 25 years where the idea just goes, oh my gosh, this is the idea. So that's why I came up with that, because I thought the people want this, because I think it's encouraging people of all ages. Oh my gosh, I can still do what I love. I can still do what I'm passionate about. And if they just change the paradigm. So I was instigating making dancers over 40 cool, rather than, oh, she's old. She's like, she used to be a tap dancer and she's kind of withering away, or whatever it may be. But so the perception, I just didn't know how we would be perceived. And it was just a beautiful outpouring of love, and people running up and saying, how can I get in your dance company? I said, well, are you over 40? And they'd say no. And I go, you're going to have to wait. And it was the funniest thing to say, it just turned everything on its ear. So I knew that was a good idea, because I felt it just in my being, in my soul. It just fired up inside. So that's how that happened. And it's been going. I mean, we've been dancing together. We haven't done shows for 40 Women Over 40 in a while, but we've been dancing together this entire time. And now I realize it's almost 25 years later. And I'm looking at these dancers. They make me weep. They're so beautiful. And it's a surge again. More people are in class and more people are interested in it. And we just welcome everyone. and to join us at any level that they can dance, because our community is so powerful and so positive that no matter what, it's just an infectious environment for, it's mainly women. There's one brave man who comes all the time, Eddie, and I just love him. It's always like, Eddie, but you know, and all these women, but he's a lucky man. What can I say?
You know, it's what you're saying about the experience of the women must resonate so deeply. I was looking at some of the reviews that some of the dancers have written online, and they really struck me as representative of how you talk about your work. And one of them I read, Brenda wrote, that the classes raise my self-confidence, energize me, and remind me that I can do way more than I ever thought I could. And I just love that piece of it, because it does speak so much to strengthening ourselves and our resiliency, right?
Yes, it really does. And the thing is I think what it is now for me now, all these years later, is the resiliency comes from going through a lot. And as dancers, we've gone through a lot, because, you know, you're in the mirror constantly, which is not a great thing to always be in the mirror. You're always comparing yourself to other people. You've got injuries, you've got limitations, and you have to come into this really beautiful place of radical self-acceptance. And that's radical self-acceptance is hard won. It doesn't, if you're just, everything is going great, you don't have to incorporate radical self-acceptance. It's almost when, you know, like this morning I was getting out of bed, Katie, and I was going, oh my gosh, I was a musical instrument unto myself, because everything was cracking and creaking and popping. And I kind of get myself standing and kind of stand there for a second. But the minute I start moving or thinking about dancing, it's like something happens to me and I'm infused with like a deep inner joy. So in our classes, that's what we're infusing. We infuse each other with it, is this deep inner joy about just being in the same room together, always creating something. We're always creating something beautiful together. And those electromagnetic fields are very powerful, that come from us, inside of us, and go out, and then we join. I think it's called a vesica Pisces. When two circles intersect, we create that energy. And literally, it's just the most beautiful thing. It's like falling in love every day, you know, with just being alive and being together. And then also, I love music, rhythm. I resonate so deeply with it, and have since I was a little tiny child. So for me, it's all just works in this. It's kind of like a pulse that we share, a heartbeat there. And I just look around. I can't believe how graced I am by these souls who come to take dance class from me. But really, we're all creating this together all the time. And it's an initiation. Every time we're in there, we get initiated into, we're bigger than us because we have each other.
Oh my goodness, I love that description of doing something creative together and the power of the community around that, right? I'm sure you dance alone in your house, right? Which is one thing, and then there's this different thing happening when you're together.
Yes, and the thing is, I would always make this joke that I can't even really do a plie by myself, because I have to have a lot of people watching me. It's a joke, Katie, but not really. It's really true. I am a performer, so I love when I'm with the group, something else happens. I don't even feel like I'm talking. I feel like the information's coming into me, and it's coming out my mouth. And I go, I'll say to the class, I don't even know where that came from. Because I think it's when you do anything creative, you're tapping into such a wellspring of wisdom and a vast knowledge that is available to all of us. And so if you kind of just ask for it a little bit more to come through, it starts to come through. And my therapist, which, you know, you can imagine how many hours she's got under her belt with me, she would always say, do the big ask. And I go, what do you mean? I said, I need help. And she goes, well, did you ask like the big kahuna, the big God, or the big, whoever you or whatever, mine's like the universe. I'm asking the universe and universal energy to help me. Did you remember to ask? And I go, no, I forgot. It's like, so I always lend to my students, if they ask me, ask big, ask big, because we're meant to live these large lives, you know.
I feel like I have to write that down. I love that. And so important in our nonprofit work, I'm thinking. But I also wonder what other ways in your life do you find that, like, that's such a specific skill to learn, and
Yeah.
maybe dance is one way you've learned that and used that. Are there other areas that bleeds into that concept?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me in relationships with people, you mean the ask big concept? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I will, you know, we all tend to have our own relationship issues. Like someone will say, "Oh, I've always had problems with finding a male partner or being with a male partner." I'll go, "No, that's not my thing." But my thing is I have deep female friendships. And when those have a rupture or a wound, it really affects me very deeply. And I can't stand having not being resolved with somebody. As I've gotten older, I've learned to sit with not being resolved with an issue. And that has led me to better decisions when resolving something or choosing to not resolve something. So that would be an ask big for me when I need help with a girlfriend that I'm having, you know, there's some misunderstanding. It's just, it kind of it takes me down to being a 3-year-old where I just feel very overly pleasing and kind of, I feel like I'll do anything to keep the friendship. And then I have so much more wisdom now that I'm older, which is the beautiful thing about getting older, that I do ask big in those situations for help with that, for wisdom, for what to say, for when to go in and when to pull back. And I've been working for years on the people pleasing to have that not be my main thing and be more centered in myself. So that's one of those places. Oh, certainly in my marriage. Certainly in my marriage. My husband and I are completely like polar opposites of the brain. And so, but together we're a really great brain. You know, it was just kind of meld them together. But he's like Mr. Scientist, Mr. Math guy, I mean, the fact that I'm even on here with you today, Katie, is a miracle from God that I could actually get on this thing. You know what I mean? I just don't think like that. So, yeah, in my relationship, just with my husband and in all my relationships now, my philosophy is just to go in and just be in my spiritual practice in every moment, be present and come with love, just love. How can I love my husband when he's talking about his tools in his shop and I glaze over and I practically fall over in a faint because I don't know what to say, you know, that kind of thing. Or we just think very differently, but we love each other insanely. So how am I going to make that work? I'm going to be frustrated all the time that's, you know, he doesn't think like me. That would be the way I would say it in my head. Why can't he just think more like me? Well, he's a beautiful thinker, but how to love him for all of it, love him for all of it. And so that's a place where I ask big. I really do ask big there because sometimes I'm just, you know, tearing my hair out and rolling my eyes, and I just leave, and I also leave the room at that point for 5 minutes, calm down. So I don't come with that kind of yucky anger. I come with, you know, I'm delightful and charming, Katie, at all times at that point.
Why, of course.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I asked about how that translates into other areas of your life is you so beautifully illustrated, which is that when we have a creative practice, it's not like a separate thing, right?
Yeah.
It is your spiritual practice and your physical exercise and your community, and then it translates into this skill that you have in all these other places, right? And I think that's kind of, for me, that's where the magic of creativity and resiliency is, that all those things weave together. They kind of integrate.
It's all the same practice. It's all the same practice. So I used to feel almost going into class too, like I'm going to rev myself up. I'm going to be this show person and I'm going to do this. And now it's not such a line I'm crossing. I'm just floating into the class and my skills or whatever I've got to bring, what I have to offer is heightened there. And I become someone that I look at and go, gosh, I just, that's, I can do that. I don't know. It's a gift. It's a practice and a gift. I've been doing it for a long time, but I never forget to be grateful for the gift and the practice. But then just going out, you know, like what I try to do now, say, for example, this is a good shift. I realized I didn't even know I was doing it, but I realized I would come a little early and I would try to greet everyone who comes in the class and give them a hug. Try to get to everybody, hug them, definitely look in their eyes and say hello and really be present with them for a small conversation or whatever like that. I used to shoot into the class when the ego was in control. I would shoot in, I would make an entrance. Boom, here she is. And, you know, that's the performer part, the younger performer part. You know, you're going to make yourself known all the time in every situation, grocery store, dance studio, stage, whatever it is. Now it's very much about that interpersonal connection and loving these, mostly women, but men when they come too, loving them into the class. So I want to go and hug. I say hi. I'm not maneuvering it. I'm just knowing that this is, how would I want to take a class now? That's what I would want. I would want someone to warmly greet me, learn my name, say how glad they are, you know, to be that they're there, that I was there. So it's just kind of, yeah, it's everywhere. And then the creative part of it, in every part of my life, I feel like I'm an artist. Like in the morning, I wake up. I mean, this is just me. I love to get dressed in the morning. I love to put on my makeup. I love to put on my glasses. Every part of adornment, I enjoy it fully. That never went away from me or changed. I always wanted that. And when I'm cooking, you know, I was cooking something last night and I know I'm going to bring it to some friends tomorrow. I want to cook that with my love in there. I want to taste it and say, they'll love that. So I think the artistry goes in everywhere. Like I do painting, these weird paintings. They're disturbing. I won't show them to you, but you know, like it just goes everywhere. So, and I think that's something about just letting things flow a little bit more and accepting. Like I do these weird paintings and I go, well, they're not, I don't think they're great or anything, but they're just my expressions. I don't care. Now, that's the beauty of getting older. I don't care what anybody thinks. I just want to make stuff. I just want to make things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to resonate even more deeply when we have Deborah come on later, who's a personal adornment professional. Yes, I know. And she's awesome. And she talks about that, you know, removing the rules around creativity and exploration. And then you can just play, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I was talking to a great friend of mine yesterday, Shelley. She might be listening in. So, hey, Shell. And we were talking about certain things, and I'll just say my part of it. For me, what I feel now, which I've been working towards my whole life since I was a little girl, I always have this, and I said this in therapy for 9,000 years. So I've been in therapy for 9,257 years. And the thing is that I would say, I always want to get back to the sunny child that I was, that was like the tow-headed blonde. And I was just running around naked. And this is a true thing. I was running around naked in my backyard, and I lived in California. So I'd roll in the mud and I would jump in. My mom would hose me off, and, you know, I have sticks in my hair, and I'd just be laughing and in the sun and dancing around and jumping. And this is my essential self. You know, how do I, in hard times, how do I get back to that? Or just for maybe years, how would I get back to that? I didn't know the pathway. So through all these different modalities of dancing, learning how to meditate, studying with good teachers, deeply talking to many close women friends of mine, connecting with my husband, I kind of said to my friend Shelley yesterday, oh my gosh, she's back. You know, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because here she is. She has always been there, kind of dormant at certain times, but now the sunny girl is leading again. And you know, in that sunny girl, she was a powerhouse. That little girl, there's pictures of me standing there with my like a swim team picture, and I've got this huge, just ridiculous smile with my ribbon, just like, and I'm doing this kind of like, just, it's just pure joy. It looks like a Tasmanian devil joy or something, but it's just joy. And so, but she's leading again. I think I'm hoping she'll lead the rest of my life, because I just love her so much, So that's something too that I think is important. And Shelley's got a picture of herself, which is literally the most adorable picture of a child ever. And I look at that and see that girl in my friend Shelley too. I think she's really come fully into that. And we were talking about getting older. Speaking of getting older, boy, am I glad I'm at 64 now, because it just takes a while for these things to marinate sort of back into you and wave back into you and incorporate and integrate. And I think we were, obviously you were in such a youth culture, but there's this beauty to it that I think is so not talked about getting older. I feel more beautiful, even physically, at 64 than I ever have. And the culture may not agree with me, but I'm okay with that. It's like, I feel it. So if I can help other people feel their inner beauty to their outer beauty, or however I can lend a hand there, or whatever I learn there and share it, it just feels like this is my mission in life with things. It's usually with women, and just coming in and having like a body that maybe people, whatever body they were given, the culture doesn't, it's not the conscripted body that you're supposed to have. And me as a dancer, I never had the I can't even say, I don't know why I'm trying to use that word, because I can't pronounce it. Like the right body, quote unquote. I wasn't 5'8". My mom told me way back when I was starting to dance, you're not 5'8" and skinny. And I was like, I don't know what I can do about getting taller. I mean, I could go to the surgeon and get my legs lengthened or something, but just like, and so I think what I had to learn how to do, and I was probably 20 pounds more than I am now when I was dancing, started to dance at 19. Your differences make you so wonderful. And if you really exaggerate your differences, as I did as a younger dancer to get in the dance world, oh, she's funny. Oh, we'll use her for this comic part. Oh, she doesn't have the body. We'll use her for this other piece that she'll look really good in that. But I made my way by not being the normal thing. And I think that's really important to say, because people always go, they can look at me right now and go, not know what I'm talking about or whatever, or but it's kind of like those resistances that you have, they polish that diamond of who you are. And it's a great thing to go at it from a different angle and not think you have to be like everybody else, but really be so damn authentic. It hurts. Then you'll find the joy in that, and people recognize it. So
that is what I was just about to say. I mean, I can't add anything to what you just said. I mean, it is so beautiful what you're describing of getting back to yourself, really loving your body and finding it beautiful, more beautiful. I mean, I love this. And I was wondering, when you think about that audience with your first performance with 40 over 40 and everyone stood up and they had such this strong response, like something's resonating with them. As you're talking right now, I feel that with myself, like this is speaking to something like deep, right, that we don't talk about when we talk about aging. I'm wondering when the audiences are responding, when you are out in the world and people are responding to you, what do you think it is they're really connecting with? What is resonating so much?
There's a rebel part of it, because if you go out there and the culture says, I mean, even as a woman, people, I have women saying to me, they'll say, oh, it's my birthday. And I'll go, oh my gosh, happy birthday. How old are you? 26. I'm really getting old. And I go, babe, I'll just have to say, babe, I'm 64. So you can't be telling me you're old at 26. So there's that part where people feel like their expiration date as women, even if they don't claim it, the culture keeps throwing it at us that you're expired. And so I think what I was feeling from that audience, that initial audience, to your question, is they saw themselves in us no matter what age they were. That was interesting to me. And that, what was the other thing about it? Oh, it's this defiance against the cultural norm, quote unquote, that people resonate with that. It's like, oh, those girls are out there, girls, women, women over 40, they're out there and they're just busting their butts out there dancing. And it was very much in the program, all these women are 40 or over. I wanted to make the point rather than try to hide the point, cover it up. No, we are 40 and up. And this is what we do. We demonstrated ourselves rather than preaching to it. We just showed that we were dancers, and we were still dancers. And we had more to give now than we used to have to give when we were younger, because we have refinement and experience, and we have a sense of humor about ourselves. And we're in a tribe, basically. You create a tribe, and then people love that tribal aspect of it in a positive way. So I think for me, I said this to you before when we were talking, it's for me to dance still at 64 and be with these women. The other day I was teaching class, and I think a couple dancers were either 69, 70, or a little bit over 70. I'm not sure, but I think so. And I was going, for me at this point, dancing is an act of defiance. That is an act of rebellion and defiance for me, because, how many people are going to go, people usually go, oh, are you still dancing? And they ask in a certain way. And I go, yeah, why wouldn't I be? It's kind of like, stop saying, oh, you're going to get sick because you're 64. Oh, you're going to get, oh, your bones hurt, your joint. It's like, oh, this football player had to stop because he was 37. And they put an age on everything and try to move us around and manipulate us with these opinions. And I just think it's an act of defiance to go, we don't just talk about it, we do it. And I just think that's very powerful. And it's more powerful as a group. It just is. And we get all that oxytocin going, so we're very full of ourselves.
I was thinking that when you were describing that, I'm like, man, those hormone chemicals must be so strong and great.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good time to shift a little bit. Kind of on that note, we have a treat for the audience. Nancy is going to lead us in some movement and some dance. So if you have questions, be sure to submit them in the Q&A box at the bottom, because we're going to take a couple of minutes at the end for questions for Nancy. But in the meantime, create a little space around you in your chair or stand up, and I'll let Nancy take it away.
Yeah. Okay. What we're going to do is, I decided today, because we were having a problem kind of figuring out music, Katie and I were. So what I've decided to do is, I'm going to show what we're going to do is, I call it a movement meditation. So anybody can do it. We can do it sitting, we can do it standing, but we start out, and I'm just going to back up a little bit. I hope you can see my hands. Can you, Katie? Can you see what I'm doing? So I'm starting in the prayer position, and I'm just going to very gently lead you through this. There's no music. I'm just going to guide you through this. I like to start in the prayer position to begin with and close my eyes. I'm closing my eyes just to demonstrate it. And then I just start in the prayer, sort of pulls the energy down into the heart. And then I'm going to put my left hand down on my heart and my right hand crossing over that. Now I'm sitting up nice and straight as you can. If you have any limited movement, just let everything be just within a range you're super comfortable with. And we start out just feeling our heart and taking some nice, easy breaths, inhaling and exhaling. You can inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth, and feel like the breath is going a little higher. And then deeper in the exhale. One more. Inhaling and exhaling. You can keep your eyes closed or open them up. And now I'm going to show you something that sometimes I like to do is just taking our palms down, and I'm going to take a small circle, coming up with the palms, and then pressing down through the body with the palms down. Now I take my gaze slightly down. I don't know why, it helps me incorporate a little bit more. And you can take it with the breath. Inhaling in and exhaling out. And inhaling in and exhaling out. Now we're going to get a little bit larger, so we're going to reach our palms out. And we're going to dive into the heart with the hands touching. And you'll notice you might want to wave forward a little bit with the chest. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Now we're going to reverse that. We're going to come up like a big sprout, coming up and around. Through the heart, up. Maybe as high as your forehead. And down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. I love seeing you guys do this. Exhaling down. And then let's come back to the heart before we do a couple more things. Just feel that you've got a little tiny bit of a buzz inside the body. I call it happy bees inside the body buzzing. Now we're just going to take our hands down to our thighs. So we're just resting them on our legs. And kind of just feel kind of like a little jaunty shake in like the shoulders, just kind of bounce tiny, tiny bit, and then gently just come back to center. Beautiful. I love the interpreter. He's like rocking it over there. Okay, and then we take the head to the right, just this tiny bit of a little half circle forward. Super gentle. No feeling like you should do a big range, just a gentle range. And then again to the right, forward, and just let the body flow in that. Center, and do it again. Right, forward, left. We're just taking it slow because we just want the body to inform us where it is. One more time. Forward, left. And then, of course, we have to go to the left to get the right brain and the left brain going. And right and up. Katie's doing a full-on 360 all the way around. I'm just going a half circle. But if you want to go to the back, that's fine. And forward and right. And then find the center. Now we're just going to take our shoulders up to the ears, back, down. Now we're taking a shoulder roll. Now, if you like jazz music or jazz dance, this is a very jazzy move, which would have some funk music going to it if we had it, but we can add in that later when we're alone, like this. And one more going to the back. Yeah. And then forward, up, shoulders forward, roll them back and down, scapula down, up. Just make sure you're still breathing. Forward, around, one more time. Up and around. Now with those shoulders, we're going to take a little shimmy. You can let the hands be loose. And if you're really awake and you've had your coffee or your tea, you can go a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. And then if you're really jazzy, you go down and then you go up and then you go down and then you go up. And we're going to take our hands and just shake them out like this. Shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them, shake them. And just kind of be wonky with them and make them be wacky. So there's just kind of like the body's just doing what it's doing. And then go way up, shake them out, come way down. Now you'd like to do jazz hands just for fun, to know that you did them. Jazz hands, spreading the fingers wide and pressing like you're pressing on a wall. And you can come in and make a fist and jazz hands, press them out. And he's doing this face that's very jazzy that goes like this. Yeah, with the face and the mouth opening. It's a note of surprise. Jazz hands. Shake him out again. Let him go a little longer. Maybe the arms get a little bit bigger. And look at how your head wants to go like, oh, that's fun. And kind of like just shake it out. Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it down. Now we're just going to go a little bit, just kind of like a little rhythm. We're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Shoulders go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and a jazz. Down, down, down with those hands. I love it. Go right, right, go left, left, go right, right, go left, left, shake it down. Do that one more time. And right, right, and left, left, and right, right, and left, left, shake it down, like rain coming down. And then we go, weirdly, we go back to the heart, because that was just fun. That's all we're going to do. Does that feel like enough, Katie? Good. Back to the heart. And then just close our eyes again. And just feel the community, the whole community just jazzing it up this morning. And just feeling the heart and how we're in this large community. And I just send a big wave of gratitude to everybody for being able to share anything and all with you today, and with wishing our whole community well here. And then we'll just float our eyes open, hands relaxed, and come back. And just feel that kind of, things feel a little bit more awake.
I loved that, if you could tell.
I'm flying you out next week.
That was so lovely.
And the interpreter too is coming.
Yes, thank you. That was great. Well, Nancy, I want to end. We have one question from the audience that I think would be good to end on before we move on to our next speaker. Lynn wants to know, what is your best antidote to self-doubt?
Oh my gosh, I love that question. Wow. I've had so much doubt in my life, as we all have, and insecurity. When I doubt, I try to not react. I would say one of the things for me is not reacting right away to that doubt, or acting on doubt, to not act with doubt, but to go take my own counsel. Is it true what I'm feeling? Is it proven out? And I go inside there. I think that I have almost stopped dancing many times from doubt, would be a good thing to say there. Because, maybe I had an injury that I don't know, was that going to take me out? And recently I had a hip replacement. There's so many things that are replaced in my body. We can't even go into that. That's a whole nother hour. But the latest one was the hip replacement. And I thought, is this going to take me down? Every time I've had a bad injury, is this going to take me down? Do I stop dancing now? Or am I not popular anymore? Do I stop dancing now because of that? Classes are down, because in life, a long life, it goes, there's hills and valleys where you don't have hardly any people, and then it's packed. And then you don't hardly have any people, and then it's packed again. Or I changed something, so now I'm going to experiment with something new. I had this one therapist in my 9,257 years of therapy that said, when in doubt, don't stay. If you have an opportunity to leap at something new, always leap. Even if it feels like you're going across a big divide and you're going from one little platform to another, always leap. And I hear her voice in my head constantly. I had this therapist when I was very young. So I'll go through the doubt, and then I think, if I died and didn't try that, or if I died and didn't say that or make that, I would feel terrible. And so I'm always going to, what am I here for? What's my fullest expression of being? And if I'm not doing that, you know, I'm not attending to something magnificent that is trying to meet me there. So that's such a good question. It's still flummoxing me, even though I'm kind of answering it. I just have gone through it and go into the strongest vibration I can in the universe, and try to become one with that vibration, and take it from there, and love myself through the doubt, you know, love myself through it, because I'm a Virgo, so we don't think we should ever do anything quote unquote wrong. We think so many things are wrong. We have to really learn to let everything be messy and wrong and weird, and you know, so I just try to incorporate the doubt into the messiness and beauty of life, I think.
Thank you, Nancy. That is great. And for folks who want to find more of Nancy, I know you do. There's some amazing videos, and you can read about her upcoming shows at onebigYesProductions.com, right?
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Nancy. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.